Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever placed a PO in SAP and wonder, wait, why can I order from this vendor? The answer might be hiding in something called the source list. And today we are going to crack it open completely. In this video, we're diving deep into one of the most underrated tools in SAP purchasing, the source list. We'll cover what it is, why it matters, and then we'll walk through creating one step by step, both in SAP GUI and the modern SAP Fiori interface. So, what is a source list? In SAP terminology, the source list is a record maintained at the material and plant level that defines which sources of supply, vendors, contracts, or schedule agreements are valid for procuring the material and during which time periods. So, in other words, a source list in SAP defines which vendors are approved to supply a specific material for a specific plant. It is a key element in procurement because it controls source determination during purchasing an MRP. With a source list, you can restrict purchasing to approved suppliers, define validity periods, and even fix or block vendors. Why does it matter? Well, first of all, it ensures procurement compliance. Companies have negotiated contracts with preferred suppliers. So the source list enforces those agreements by directing buyers or even automated MRP to the right supplier every time. There is no manual decision, therefore no mistakes. Another point would be MRP integration. This is the hidden gem, and this is one of the things that most people miss. When you set the MRP indicator on a source list record, SAP's MRP will automatically assign the source when generating PRs. That means your planning runs can automatically respect vendor agreements without any buyer interventions. In many organizations, source lists are mandatory for materials managed by MRP. Also, it helps blocking unwanted vendors. You can also use the source list to block a vendor for a specific material. If a supplier has quality issue, let's say, or their contract expire, you simply add a blocked source list record and SAP will prevent anyone from creating a PO with them for that material. And also, it ensures buyers purchase from the correct suppliers, preventing unauthorized sourcing. The bottom line would be that the sources is a strategic procurement control tool, although underrated. But that being said, let's jump to SAP GUI and see how we can create a source list. Way in SAP GUI. So you can go to the SAP GUI and in the command field insert ME01. Another way for accessing this transaction would be to go through the SAP menu, that is through logistics, materials management, purchasing. Afterwards, master data, and after under master data, you find source list and the T code ME01 maintain. You can also click on it, and you'll be landing on the initial screen of this transaction. Here you can notice that two information are required for maintaining the source list. First, the material number, so please insert a material number, the specific item you want to control sourcing for, and the plant, because source lists are always plant specific. Afterwards, you just press on enter and you'll be landing on this screen. As you can see, we have no records at this point since it is a new material, but we'll have to fill in a record. So we'll just simply fill in the information on the first line. Fields valid from and valid to contain the range during which the source is active. So I'm just going to provide today's date for valid from and just the date in the future for valid to. Afterwards, please insert the supplier account number. The purchasing organization. Of course, the supplier has to be extended for this purchasing organization so you don't receive any error message. Next field, if applicable, would be the agreement. This can reference a contract or schedule agreement number. I have previously created a contract, So I'm just going to briefly show it to you so you understand where I'm taking this number from. This is a quantity contract, and I'm going to insert it here. As you can see, in my contract, the material is on position on line item 20. So I'm going to put the same line item here in this field. Okay. Next two fields, fixed source indicator and also blocking indicator, can be marked but never at the same time. So fixed source indicator, this is to be used if you want that this supplier is preferred for supplying this material. And blocking indicator, you set this, you can set a block for the vendor for this material, of course, for a certain period of time. I'm just gonna check the fixed source indicator now. Okay. Next field is MRP indicator. I'm just gonna open here this one to see what are the options we have. So we can leave it blank, and that means that this source list record will not be relevant to MRP. But in order to make it be relevant for MRP, we have these two options, one or two. And yeah, this will include this record in the MRP planning runs. But in order to choose two, we would have to have here in the agreement field a schedule agreement, so it can generate automatically the schedule lines. Not our case. So I'm going to choose one. And that's it. These are the records that I have filled in. I'm gonna shortly check it right now to see if there are any error message popping up. No, there is no error message, but there is a warning message. But that's okay. I can still save my record, so I'm gonna press on save at this point. Okay. Now you can see at the bottom of the screen there is a message that the source list has been changed, and there is a record created at this point for this material and plant. And yeah, that is how the source list it is to be created in GUI. It's pretty clean, straightforward, and still widely used across many SAP, ECC, and S4HANA landscapes. In addition to manual creation, SAP provides several transactions for maintaining and analyzing source lists. So ME01 is used to create a source list entry, while ME03 allows you to display existing entries for material and plant, like we can see here. We can also display the source list record we have already created. Changes to an existing source list are also performed to the same transaction we used for creating source list, that is ME01. Another important T code would be ME05 under follow on functions. It generates the source list, and it's used for mass processing. This transaction automatically creates source list records based on existing purchasing info records, contracts, or schedule agreements for selected materials and plant. It is commonly used during initial system setup, data migration, or when maintaining large volumes of materials. Even in S4 HANA environments where Fiori apps are available, this classic SAP GUI transaction remains widely used due to its efficiency and robust bulk processing capabilities. As you can see here, there are several options for mass processing of source list. You can generate, let's say, for a certain range of materials, a range of plants. I can, for example, insert a material so we can see an example. And yeah, you have here several options. In this section, purchaser can choose to include or exclude or only allow to outline agreements. Most companies will include all material or supplier scenarios when initially creating a source list. And the other options are similar to those that can be created in a transaction ME01, including validity dates and, yes, MRP relevance, for example. You can also have the option of deleting all existing source list records or allowing them to remain. And yeah, finally, very important would be to check first this test run just to see if the generated records are okay from your point of view, and afterwards you can remove this set once you have checked the data. We'll just make a quick check. So after you check it, you can run it again without that check mark being set. Now let's do the same thing in SAP Fiori, the modern browser-based SAP experience available in S/4HANA. First of all, log into your Fiori Launchpad. In order to search for the app that will need to create the source list, you have two options. Either you can search for it into the search bar here on the top right of the screen, or maybe it's already pinned to your tile group. For example, under purchasing or master data. In my case, I can find it under sourcing and contracting overview. Once you have once you have find the app, you can press on it, and inside the app you'll see filter bar at the top, um, and here you can enter the material that you want to create the source list for, and the plant to see if there are any existing source list already created. Press on go. So in my case, no data was found. To add a new source, click the create button at the in the top right of the results table. And as you can see, a new entry form opens. And here's where the Fiori really shines. Instead of a dense table of fields, you get a clean form-based layout with clear labels, data pickers, and drop-down value helps. First of all, we'll fill in our material again, the plant. Okay, and here we can insert the information regarding the source list record. First of all, valid from today's date. Valid to will just pick a date in the future. Supplier. Also, when searching for different other information, you see here, like after pressing on show filters, you get more filters, and yeah, you can look for information easier depending on the criteria you choose to. In my case, for example, I'll just choose this supplier, purchasing organization. Okay, and here are the indicators: material planning, a clean drop down list. I'll select record relevant to MRP1. Okay, and the status, the same as in GUI: empty status, block status, or fixed status indicators. I'll just choose the fixed status. Okay, and that's about it. We have all the information we need. If you would like to add a second record in this source list, you can also press on create. But in my case, I just want to save it as it is right now. So I'll press on create. And here you have the confirmation that the source list has been created. So we can go back and we can also see it here uh, in the at the beginning in the screen where we search initially for the source list. And yeah, that's about it. Pretty clean and straightforward. So now that we have seen how source list is created in both SAP GUI and Fiori app, here's a quick and honest comparison. So, which one is better? SAP GUI is ideal for expert users who perform high volume maintenance and need speed. Fiori, on the other hand, is better for occasional users, business roles, and organization moving toward digital user experience. Both create the same business object. The difference is mainly usability. Bottom line, if you're a seasoned SAP consultant doing bulk work, GUI is faster. If you're training end users or working in a modern S4 HANA environment, Fiori is the way to go. The other question would be like when to use which. And yeah, here a straightforward answer would be that you can use SAP GUI when you need to maintain many records quickly or perform advanced tasks, but you can use Fiori when usability, accessibility, or mobility is important. Fair to be said, in modern S4HANA environments, many companies encourage Fiori for everyday operations. Before wrapping this up, I would like to mention some pro tips that you might find useful. So, always activate the source list at the right level. You have the option to activate it at the material master level in the purchasing view, and that means that the sources become mandatory for that specific material. Or you can also activate it at the plant level in customizing. And that means that it would become mandatory for all the materials under that plant. Plant level activation, although it might sound appealing, it can generate massive maintenance or overhead because every material in that plant would need a valid source list before any PO can be created. So maybe it makes more sense to activate it at the material master view, but this is something for you to decide on your specific implementation project. But just to quickly show you where these two fields are to be found, or these two options of activation, first of all, in the material master, as I was mentioning, in the purchasing view, you can go and see that under the other data, manufacturer data, you have the source list field that can be marked. And I was also mentioning the option for plant level activation. And you would go to SPRO, and under materials management, purchasing, um, okay, source list. Here we have the source list. Define source list at the plant level. And here you have it. Okay. Another tip would be understand the difference between fixed and MRP relevant. These two options serve different purposes, and it's very important to understand them. So the fixed indicator controls the manual creation of PR PO in ME21, ME20, ME21N, and ME51N. When set source determination in ME21N, auto populates the vendor and the buyer cannot change it. It has no effect on MRP. It's useful for compliance because only one approved vendor per material plant can be used. But on the other hand, the MRP indicator would control automatic source assignment by MRP. When set to 1 or 2, MRP assigns PRs or schedule lines to this source automatically. It has no effect on manual PO creation. So it's useful for automation. It lets MRP handle vendor selection. You can also combine these two to get the desired result. So if you combine fixed and MRP one indicator, that means that MRP will always assign that source and buyers cannot overwrite it manually. Another tip would be to use validity periods as a vendor lifecycle management tool. Most teams treat validity period as a technical necessity. Expert consultants treat them as a strategic instrument. By carefully controlling from to dates, you can schedule vendor transitions, price period changes, and compliance windows directly in the source list without any custom development. Also, MRP indicator is only for schedule agreements. There are no exceptions here. MRP indicator 2 value 2 tells MRP to generate delivery schedule lines directly against the schedule agreement, bypassing the purchase requisition step entirely. This is extremely efficient for high volume repetitive purchases, but please keep in mind that it requires specific setup that many consultants miss. So the source list entry must reference a schedule agreement, otherwise you cannot even save that source list. And the MMSA must have an open validity period and open quantity. Another thing I would like to mention is that the way the source list interplays with quota arrangement. Um, Source list and quota arrangements are complementary tools that work as a two-layer sourcing framework. Understanding the interaction is essential for complex multi-vendor procurement scenarios. Just to have like a brief overview of the roles that each of one has. So the source list defines which vendors are valid sources. So it is the approved list of vendors, let's say. You can activate or block specific sources in the source list. It would work without quota arrangement for single source scenarios, while the quota arrangement defines how much each valid vendor should receive of your order. Distributes requirements across active sources by percentage. It requires source list entries to be present for the same vendors. So never set up a quota arrangement for a vendor without a corresponding valid source list entry. And just this brings us to the last point. There is always the question whether to block or delete a record in the source list. When a vendor relationship ends or a source needs to be temporarily suspended, consultants often debate whether to delete the source list record or to set the blocked indicator. The answer for any production system is always block, never delete. Blocking is recommended because it has some advantages, as the record remains visible in both ME03 and ME0M. ME04 change history is preserved. Of course, you can unblock it instantly if the situation is reversed. It supports regularity traceability requirements. And on this, at the same time, blocked records are ignored by MRP and PO creation is saved. On the other hand, you should avoid deleting the source list records in production because records disappear, so there is no audit trail. Change history is lost with that record. Must be recreated from scratch if and there is a risk of data entry errors. Uh, and may violate audit trade requirements in the regulated industry. Um, Deletion achieves the same functional result, but the history is lost. And that's a wrap. Today you learn what the SAP source list is, why it's one of the most powerful and also overlooked tools in procurement, and how to create source list records in both SAP GUI and SAP Fiori. If you found this useful, please hit the like button. It generally helps the channel grow. And if you want more SAP deep dives like this, subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next one. Got a question or a topic you want to cover? Drop it in the comments below. I read every single one. So in the end, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.